Hello! What is up, my dudes? Hi. I can't believe that I'm here. If you've been following along, hello, hi. I've been rereading the Bone Season series by Samantha Shannon. We're here today because I am opening another reading vlog, the fourth in the series. I am moments away, kind of, from starting The Mask Falling by Samantha Shannon. This is my third time reading the Bone Season series, and I'm reading it in preparation of this beautiful monster. This is the fifth book. It just came out. I have not opened it. I am being so brave for not reading any part of this, but I decided to reread everything in advance because it's been 4 years, Samantha! 4 years! It's been 4 years since The Mask Falling came out. I'm normal. We're here. We're gonna start it. I am ready to be hurt again. I have actually read The Mask Falling twice before. I read it when it came out, and then like a year or two after it came out, I was having a bad day, and I was like, yeah, I deserve to listen to the audiobook of The Mask Falling, which was the worst idea in the world, because, you know, it's just pain for like half of it, but it's fine. So I did listen to it on audio for the second read. I haven't read it since she's like edited everything, but I don't think she really edited that much from this one. Anyway, I'm terrified. Now that I've read the first 3 books again, I'm fairly convinced that this is my favorite Bone Season book thus far. I think when it comes to long series and fantasy series especially, most of the time the second half is better, and most of the time the second half is my favorite. So 4 is like a perfect starting point to be like, okay, definitely one of my favorites. I think we have a real contender in book 5. Book 5 could tear me to pieces and become my new favorite Bone Season book, but we can't do that yet because we have to focus on this one. And I'm being so strong and brave. Like I said, I'm ready to be hurt again. But before I get started on this, I will be reading the Dawn Chorus because I deserve to be happy for like 10 seconds. I've only read the Dawn Chorus once, so this will be interesting. But I know it's just like Page and Warden domesticity, which is exactly what I need in these trying times. I cannot stress to you how afraid I am. Like, here's the thing. When I started this reread, I was like, chop, chop, we gotta read The Dark Mirror. Like, it's coming out. We have to get to it ASAP. And like, ever since it actually came out, I have been dragging my feet. Like, it has just been so difficult to convince myself that I need to be reading these. Not because it's not good or I'm not having fun, but like objectively, every step takes me closer to terror and darkness and bad things. And luckily we have like moved past the waterboarding part, but now we have to deal with the consequences of the waterboarding. And also, once I finish this, I don't know what happens. And we left on a cliffhanger. I don't know if you're aware. I've been sitting with this cliffhanger for 4 years. 4 years, Samantha. Is my life a joke to you? Where we left off in the Song Rising. At the end of the Song Rising, Paige gets tortured, and then she destroys Sun's shield, but also kind of destroys herself in the process, and she ends up getting messed up in the Domino program. And so Domino is a free world-based organization that is essentially trying to get Cyan out. And so they are like sponsoring voyants, they're sponsoring people, they're sending people places. I don't know. Scarlet Burnish is a part of this organization, and now she has enlisted Paige and her friends to be a part of it. So Paige and Warden are going to Paris, and they're a part of Domino for, I think the maximum sentence was a year is what Scarlet Burnish said. So they're going to Paris, and then Nick is going to Sweden, and Maria is going to Bulgaria. And so that's where our people lie. There are still people in London, Eliza and Glenn, with an N, I think. Yeah. They're still in charge of the syndicate, and Paige is still under Queen, but she is not there. So it's kind of murky right now. But they're going to Paris, and things are about to get crazy. And I'm really curious, actually, during this reread to do some thinking, some reading, some actual looking at the Domino program, because it's definitely a part of this, and it becomes very important at the end. And I know it's going to be important in the Dark Mirror, but I still like don't really remember a lot about it. And since I didn't really pay attention on the second read, I literally was just trying to get to the Page and Warden parts. I think I need to do some studying so that I know what's going to go on in the next book. Did I mention how afraid I am? It's fine, I can be normal. So I'm gonna go read The Dark Mirror. Nope, I'm gonna go read The Dawn Chorus, and then maybe if we're lucky, I'll start The Mask Falling tonight. I need to start hauling ass, because if I sit here any longer without having read The Dark Mirror, I will kill somebody. Welcome to the reading vlog, I guess. I want to die. Nothing has happened, but everything is. I just love Paige and Warden. I love them so much. Like, they're just so good together, and they're so stupid, and they're so cute. And anyway, I forgot that like the main part of the Dawn Chorus and the beginning of The Mask Falling actually is like Paige dealing with a lot of shame. And it's like shame of her like having a body and being a human being. And like, not to like get too personal, but that is just so relatable. And it's interesting because obviously this is because of her torture, her trauma. So it's not like she's like actively doing this of her own accord. Like, she has been conditioned to believe this based on the waterboarding. I do think it's an interesting commentary on aceness, because she's demi, obviously, which is aspec, and she doesn't seem like a sex repulsed ace person, but all of that being said, I think there is something that comes with a lot of aspec people. Or maybe I'm making that up and it's just me. When it comes to being sex repulsed, a lot of my personal sex repulsion comes from the shame of being a person and having a body. So that's kind of like one of the things that I think about constantly. When I feel shame, a lot of times it's just like this, where I'm like, I have a body and that's awful. Like, that's terrible that somebody should have to deal with my body, because I think other people's bodies are also gross. And so obviously this is seen in a different light, and it is much more because of the waterboarding. But I do think there is something to be said about the ace experience and the shame of having a human body. So I'm reading the Dawn Chorus, right? There's a section where she's having a flashback to being in Maudlin, and it's August, and she's sick. And first of all, I do find it a little bit funny that like this is just a memory that Sam was like, yeah, she was sick, there was an infection, and it's like, we would have heard about this in the actual book, but sure, okay. And there's this scene where she's hallucinating, and I have not read this since I read The Mask Falling. There's a section where a disembodied mask drifts over and tells her that it looks forward to their meeting. And the mask says, beware. The Lord of Hindsight is purblind. Look to the all-gifted for the key. Knowledge has a terrible price. Come and see, come and see. As it turns out, I don't remember anything from The Mask Falling, but I do find that curious. There's a shadow bear. Its claws were like 10 swords. A shadow bear? What the hell does that mean? When it roared, black moths and honeybees erupted from its mouth. Yeah, I know that's important, but I suddenly can't remember anything ever. Faceless woman opened a jar and outpoured 7 golden stars. I feel like, hear me out. I feel like I am in Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat, and they're singing about the corn and they're singing about the cows, and I'm just like, Joseph, what does it mean? What does it all mean? Here's what I find so interesting reading this after The Mask Falling. Because, like, on the one hand, it's just a funky little novella, you know? Like, it really, you don't have to read it to understand what happens in the next book. And objectively, most of this is, like, character development. It's just, like, Paige and Warden being together, and Paige is sick and Warden's taking care of her, which is necessary, obviously. But knowing that this is like a bridge between 2 books, it is interesting to see the information that Samantha Shannon decides to like highlight, because already we have gotten mentions of the floating mask thing, which is a reference to The Mask Falling. And just now they were talking about Menard. I don't know if that's how you say it in French. I should look it up. But we knew that he didn't go to the bicentenary in the first book. But at the time, you know, you're like, it's just some French guy. But now you're like, like I'm thinking about the French guy. And then he becomes super relevant in book 4. But in book 3, his wife is there like watching Paige at that one pivotal scene, which is kind of hilarious because the last time that she sees Paige, she's like, like, I'm so happy my children will never have to see you again, blah, blah, blah. They'll be safe. And it's like, no, actually Paige is going to take over your body, and she is going to talk to your children, and they're gonna like her. And then the other thing that they bring up is the new colony in France, which is Sheol 2, which obviously we have an intimate knowledge of. And on top of that, they also just mentioned David, the mysterious oracle, which we know is relevant because he's fucking Cade, and he is probably the devil. Anyway, I'm fine. Whoa, 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 whoa. Hold on, everybody. Hold on, everybody. David is here again. He's talking to her, and they're talking about how she possessed him on the mission to London, right? He asks, how long have you been able to possess people? And she says, why do you care? And he says, just wondering. Thinking many thoughts, head full, thinking many thoughts. Does he want her to explain how she did it so that he can do it? Or can he already do it? Or is he just asking for information about her? Which is it? I cannot tell you guys how much this time change is fucking up my life. Like, I know everybody's so excited about the sunshine, and like driving home in the sun is fine, I guess. It's good, it's great, it's whatever. But it's 8 p.m. But because it's getting dark now at 8 p.m., my brain is like, oh, surely it's 6 p.m. Like, that makes sense, right? Like, logically, it should be 6 p.m. because it's still winter. No, it's 8 p.m. It is basically, it's not, but it's basically kind of time to go to bed. Anyway, it's 8 p.m. I haven't eaten dinner, and I really need to cook, but I can't tell you how much I just don't want to cook. Anyway, I'm losing my mind at this fucking novella, so that's where we're at. This isn't actually like a real update. I'm still reading the Dawn Chorus. But I'm just sitting here like trying not to think about the Dark Mirror because like I haven't seen Paige and Warden in 4 years and they're separated. How long do you guys think we're gonna have to wait? You know, like how long until I get to see them reunited? And also, we don't even know if Warden's okay. Like, he is. But where is he? What happened to him? He was taken. He was possessed. Paige is having flashbacks to Maudlin and healing, like, stitching up Warden. And there's a moment where she touches his back and he tenses and she's like, are you, like, that disgusted by me? And he's like, that's not what's happening. And her stupid ass, ace ass, is just like, what is it then? And he's like, guess we'll never know. Like, oh my god. You know, I probably should just like split this into 2 separate vlogs, but we're not gonna do that. So anyway, it's 11 o'clock at night. I don't really know how that happened. I told you the time change was fucking with my head. I did finish the Dawn Chorus. It did make me feel a lot of things. I don't really know what the plan is for this weekend. We're supposed to have like really crazy like thunderstorms and winds and like tornadoes this weekend, question mark, but I think it'll be fine. But because of that, I like don't really have anything on the docket. I have a couple of things that I need to do, life admin stuff, but for the most part, I'm just gonna be chilling. And if I really get my shit together, maybe I'll read The Mask Falling. So I started The Mask Falling, obviously. The beginning is so deranged because it's kind of just like an extension of the Dawn Chorus. We get a couple more insights into the very beginning of their stay in Paris, but it's mostly just Paige and Warden, Paige and Warden, Paige and Warden. And I just love them. I love them so much, but also Warden is a stronger person than I am. Like, genuinely, I think the partners of all of these like female revolutionaries are like the strongest people alive. I mean, I'm thinking of Paige, I'm thinking of Penryn, I'm thinking of Triss, I'm thinking of Katniss, I'm thinking of Aelin Galathynius in particular. That like all of these women are so strong and they are so committed to the cause and they have so much like self-loathing within them, and also they've been deeply traumatized and tortured in a lot of different ways. And at the end of the day, they're still like, all right, chop chop, I gotta get out there, we gotta do this revolution. And their partner is just like, that would be a really bad idea, can't you just rest for like 2 days? Like, I just read the part where Paige has rested for like 2 weeks. She's supposed to rest for a month. She's rested for 2 weeks. Let's remember, she's been waterboarded. She's been beaten physically. She's been tortured emotionally, mentally, physically, everything. And it's been 2 weeks. And she's like, damn, that's crazy. We gotta go. We got shit to do. And it's literally right after Warden goes out to feed. And he comes back and he's like, I just want to make it known this is a bad idea. She's like, yeah. You always say that. And he's like, I did say I would follow you, and I did say you should be a leader. So this is kind of on me, but God. I do really respect Warden, though, because he made that promise that he would stay with her and let her choose what she wanted to do, and he's stuck with it. He said, all right, this is on me. I shouldn't have said that. They celebrated her birthday, and it was so sweet, and he told her to call him Arcturus. I want to be dead, but, you know, we got to keep reading. I need you all to know that anytime I read The Mask Falling, and this has happened to me since the first time I read it, I just, all I can do is sing songs from The Hunchback of Notre Dame. For obvious reasons, we're in Paris. I just read the part where they're going into the Court of Miracles, and you know where I'm going with this. All I can do is sing the Court of Miracles song from Hunchback. The real thing that I took from Hunchback of Notre Dame when reading The Mask Falling is, this is relevant later in the video and in the story, so I'll probably bring it up when it happens, but I'm gonna bring it up now too because we're talking about Hunchback. I just need you all to know that when I first read Evenfall, like that whole chapter, I don't know if I listened to it while I was reading it, but like after the fact, I was trying to find a song that like sounded like the chapter. And I just, every time I hear the score from Sanctuary, from Hunchback, like that, the Sanctuary track, immediately takes me back. I time travel to January 2021 and the panic attack that I had reading that chapter. That is what that song sounds like. Since I'm reading translated books this year, I do really want to read Notre Dame de Paris, I think that's how it's said in French, by Victor Hugo, because I love Victor Hugo, and also it's French and I haven't read a French translation yet, so it's on my list. I don't know when I'm gonna get to it, but I am very excited about it at some point. I'm like 17% of the way through, and it is going by pretty quickly, but now we're getting into like the Paris syndicate politics, which is like not my favorite either. I just don't love the politics of this world because it's so stressful. And Paige is so bad at playing nice with people. She's not good at it. But every single time that Warden has to coach her through like a panic attack, an angel gets its wings. It's so great to watch. Like whenever he crouches down in front of her, I'm like, yes, get on her level, get on eye level, tell her that she's gonna be okay. I keep getting sidetracked by the internet, and also because I cannot stop thinking about the Dark Mirror. So like we are in the second half of this series. There's going to be 7 books. We know that. I am approaching right now book 5. And the thing is, when you're in a 7-book fantasy series, the second half is dramatically different than the first half. And in the best possible way, you know? Because when you're in the first half of a fantasy series, like, you have so much ground to cover. You have to do introductory work, you have to do world building, you have to introduce us to the characters present and past at the same time, and also hint at the future. And so we just had to learn so much, you know? And so there's not as much time in the first half of a fantasy series to do like emotional groundwork, emotional legwork. And so like, yeah, like the plot is usually the craziest part of the beginning because you're trying to catch up and figure out where we're gonna go. And in the second half, it's like usually the writer's best writing. First of all, because if you're taking on a 7-book fantasy series, it takes a long time, you know? Like, she started writing this early 2010s, published it when she was in college, and now 10 plus years later, like, we are still not done with the series. And so not only has her writing dramatically improved, she has more experience with it. She's done more. She's written all of the Priory books. And so like, she's a better writer. Number one. Number two, we're in the second half of the series, which means now we have room for play. We can do some emotional growth. We can do some personal growth. We can do relationships. There's new romance to deal with. There's just so much that needs to happen and can happen that you don't really have time for in the beginning. And so now in the second half, we also are coming out of an insane cliffhanger here going into book 5, as you are well aware. Sorry, I just thought about the ending. Paige and Warden are separated. Paige lost some of her memories. I've been focused a lot on this reread on the White Aster because obviously that's a part of the end of this book. And so anytime anybody mentioned it, I was like, I see you, Samantha. You are leaving hints and I am reading them and I am going to be okay. I know what's going to happen. And from what I can tell, the White Aster doesn't completely like take all your memories. It just kind of like buries them. And so like, I'm no longer worried about the memory thing. I think it's a fun detour that we will have to deal with. But it's going to make an even better reunion. That's what I've decided. But they are still separated. And the last time they were together was when they decided that they were going to be a romantic couple. Reunion, romance, like it's gonna be crazy. But anyway, I just was thinking about the fact that like in most of my fantasy series, like my favorite books of the series don't happen until the second half. And obviously I love the first half of the Bone season. I think it's great. I'm still here, you know, like I sat through 3 or 4 books, but I just had the thought, you know, that like book 5 is like Empire of Storms and Order of the Phoenix and Discord of Gods. Like there is some insane shit that happens in book 5 in other series. I am so afraid. I'm so afraid actually of what Samantha Shannon might do in a book 5 situation. Because it's book 5, like it has potential to be one of my all-time favorite books. And even though I love The Mask Falling, and right now I do claim it as my favorite book in the series, it just blows my mind to think that like in the future, there will most likely be a Bone season book that is my favorite that is none of the books that I've read so far. Because I still have 3 books to read in this series. And 2 of them aren't even out yet. She hasn't even written them yet. Does anybody else think? It's like 5:30 p.m. We're technically in a tornado watch until 9 p.m. Not that I was really planning on going anywhere, but I had thought about going to the gym. That's not gonna happen. I've given up on going to the gym this week. It's fine. So yeah, I'm buckling in. I am going to read and I plan to make progress. Guys, Paige and Warden just stole a car, as one does, and the car turns on and it starts talking to them because, you know, it's a smart car. It's probably a fucking Tesla, let's be honest here. And the guy that they stole the car from, what is his name? Laurent. I miss Captive Prince so bad. I know Domino is probably for the best. And like, I respect that they're doing the most. They're trying to get things better, you know, solve the problems of the world. But they're kind of bitches. And I don't know that I actually trust them. She brought out the dissimulator to show Paige, and Paige was like, yes, Scarlet Burnish had that. And I don't know if I never thought about this. I'm back on the Jackson Domino theory. The details that she gave about the dissimulator, she only gave one detail, was that Cyan is unaware of it. So if Cyan doesn't know about it, there's very limited people who can get a hold of it. Paige was like, this seems like magic more than technology. And Ducot was like, yeah, like this is the modern world or whatever. I think there's real merit to my idea that Jackson is in the Domino program. And I am more and more convinced actually every time something like this happens. Because how else would he get that thing? And also, like, I know he got his money from the gray market and from Scion and whatever. And Paige and Warden had a whole conversation about him going forward and where he's getting his money and if he's involved with the Rag and Bone Band in Paris. But technically, if he worked for Domino, he could be sponsored by them, so he could be getting money from them. I don't know. I could be wrong, obviously, but like I just feel like there's a real theory here, you know? Ding, 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 we have another one. George Bernard was born in 2019. The president of Portugal is 29. Here's one of the reasons why Paige is so stupid. I don't think she thinks about the consequences of her actions ever. She always is like, we have to do this right now. This is the only opportunity. I will take a chance. It doesn't matter. We have to get this done. And I think she fails to recognize that a lot of times when she jumps into these plans and actions, that like it's usually not good. Like she is about to possess Menard's wife, Luce, for the first time. And she is deeply hungover. She also is definitely sick and did not sleep well last night. And still she's like, no, like I got this. I can possess her. It'll be great. I need to get in there. I need to know the location of S.H.I.E.L.D. too. And like, I get it. Like you gotta do the possession. Like I understand that. But literally, it's almost worse to go in like that than to not go at all. This is how it always happens. Every time she's like, no, it's better if I do this sick than if we just push it back to when I'm better in like a week or a day. Like literally this girl, it's every time. They keep bringing up the fact that Paige is the only dreamwalker, and every single time it's like, you're the only dreamwalker as far as I know. It's like, you're literally not. And there was that story that Warden told. I don't remember when this was, if it was the Dawn Chorus or the beginning of the Mask Falling, but Warden told a story about Oxford that there was another Dreamwalker that Nashira lost back in the days of Jack the Ripper, I think. And her name was Emma. I just read it today and I don't remember. But anyway, there was another Dreamwalker and she disappeared. She left Oxford and then potentially was murdered after the fact. But like, we don't actually have any confirmation of that. I'm sitting here like, this is crazy. There is another Dreamwalker. Anyway, Kate is the other Dreamwalker, David, the other Dreamwalker. And I cannot get over how many times they've said that. Not even just in this book. It's been like, in almost every book, there's been a mention of like, oh, you're the only one. And it's like, we think, like, we don't know. And it's like, you don't. And it's gonna bite you in the ass. What up, fam? It's Sunday. And it seems like we survived the weird thunderstorm tornado night, I guess. It's literally sunny out, but it's fine. Anyway, it's like 9 o'clock. I am gonna be so brave and I'm gonna go to a coffee shop because I need to do work and I need to read and I want to read, but I haven't been able to focus because being like trapped in the house is not always ideal. So I'm hoping that if I like go refocus at the coffee shop, I can work, I can journal, I can read, I can do all the things that I really want to do. And then maybe I can make some progress on literally anything. I did make a lot of progress yesterday on The Mask Falling. I think by the time I went to bed, I was at 25%, 26%, somewhere around like quarter to a third. Where we left Paige, she had just possessed Luce. And, yeah, it's just like literally the whole series is just so tense. Even when I know what's gonna happen, but like we are approaching S.H.I.E.L.D. 2 territory and I am so not prepared. Anyway, that's a future problem. We're not gonna worry about it right now. I'm gonna go get a coffee. afternoon now. It's like 3:15. I am so tired, but I did do a lot of work, so that's probably why I'm tired. I didn't read any of The Mask Falling so far today. I ended up doing a bunch of like admin things. I sent out a contract and I signed my new lease, which is to say the same lease that I have, but I will be here now for more months. Oh, and I booked flights because I'm going to Texas. I'm going to Dallas to see Halsey in May. So that's fun and exciting. I would like to get through Sheol 2 today. But that sounds really ambitious. But halfway, that's only like 20%. I could do that. I can do this if I just believe in myself and stop fucking around. Okay. All right. It's gonna cut to me reading. I just need you to know I am so stressed out right now. She's possessing Luce again and I can't do it. Like, I know it'll be fine, but literally every time Paige makes a decision, I lose years of my life. She is trying to possess her for a third time. And now I'm having more flashbacks. I'm remembering details I forgot about. The first of which is that I believe Luce is having an affair. So there's that. I will kill David with my bare hands. I hate this motherfucker so much. I am going to be so entirely honest with you guys right now. I just had the thought, I'm not gonna do it, I'm just thinking about it. But like, I literally have read this book already. I could just not finish it. Oh my god. I literally am like, what if I just picked up the Dark Mirror? Like, I know what happens. David told her that if she gave herself up, he would help her, and she believes him. What if I just skipped it? What if I just didn't finish it? Okay, I am paying so much attention to Cade, so much attention to him, and I still have no idea what the fuck he is. Like, we know he's a dreamwalker, but I don't trust a single fucking word out of his goddamn mouth. Like, apparently his family died in a house fire and he was the only survivor. I don't think so, buddy. Okay, here's something I didn't realize the first two reads that I read this. Cade was hired by Minar to go to Oxford as a spy and get information. I didn't know that. Like, I must have known it, but I didn't realize that that is what was happening here. And that's why he was at Oxford. Tell me your secrets, Cade! Who are you? Okay, crazy theory time. So, Paige is talking about how many people think that unnaturalness is hereditary. And she is, essentially she's saying this because she's hinting that Luce's baby will be unnatural if David is the father. I think it's bold of Paige to assume that David is the father when he's a lying piece of shit, but you know, it's fine. I don't know that we ever actually confirmed that. She has the throwaway line where she's talking about how she thinks her whole family was homoerotic, but she never knew her mother. And I think we need to go back to that information that Warden shared about the other dreamwalker that got away from Nashira. Like, am I crazy? Is that Paige's descendant? It's not, but it could be. We don't know. I'm thinking many thoughts. So Cade just took her down to meet with Cornephoros. They're talking about how the Emim are refs that have gotten sick. And there's a lot of information here that I know is going to be important later, but I don't know why, so I really can't dwell on it too much. Anyway, at the end of the chapter, they're talking, and not that this reveals anything at all, but I do think it references where we're going in the series. Cornephoros is like, we're ruthless, but we can be reasonable. What would happen if we couldn't reason anymore and we didn't have any compassion because we were just, you know, taken over by the sickness? And Paige goes, yeah, we'd be in hell. The only way to stop it would be to seal every last one of you back in the nether world. Oh my god. And he's like, yeah, that's no longer possible. The veils are now eternally torn. And here's the thing. Mostly I am thinking about Paige and Warden, always. But specifically, we still don't know why the flower bloomed. There's definitely something going on between them. But like, from a magic standpoint, I think the golden cord is really important. And if they can make the flower bloom, crazy idea. I feel like they could just like heal the whole world. I'm pretty sure they are going to be the ones that seal off the netherworld. I'm just throwing that out there. Cause like not to be thinking about the end of the series. because we don't know anything about anything at this point. But it definitely could happen that they figure out a way to like seal the veil so that the refs can go home and like they can heal that, or they just banish all the bad refs and the good refs can stay like in Earth. That's not right, but they can stay in our realm. Or, because, you know, I'm just like imagining all of the Rantham being like, okay, like time to go home, come with us, Arcturus. And he'll be like, no, I am staying here with my beloved Paige. Like, I don't have time or energy to think about the end of this series yet, but like I am thinking many thoughts. The flower bloomed. They have power. Also, how the fuck does any of this have to do with Pandora's box and Prometheus? I think I need to cook dinner, but I have made it to 39%. Paige is gonna escape. I'm gonna read about Paige's escape at the very least today. I don't know how much further I'll get past that, but I feel like I'm finally doing something and I am finally moving. I just want all of you to know that I have never cooked salmon before, so I don't know if this is gonna be any good, but I think HelloFresh should sponsor me. Look at her. Isn't she beautiful? I'm still thinking thoughts. I really find it so funny that Paige just figured all this out and she's like, man, I really resent Arcturus for not telling me this. Like, we built our whole relationship on a correct foundation. And it's like, bestie, first of all, he warned you. He was like, you're gonna find out. You could find out. I just cannot tell you. He told you as much as he could. Number two, you literally just ditched him. You just literally did not tell him what you were doing after you guys had a very bad conversation that you ran away from, and you're worried about trust? Like, the man cannot trust you, girl. Be so serious. She's deranged. I love her so much. I know that, like, you don't know what you don't know, and, like, it's such good writing that, like, Paige doesn't know what she's witnessing. But I am just now remembering that when I read The Mask Falling for the first time, I did guess that Cade was a dreamwalker. I just like wasn't 100% on it. I was like, wouldn't that be crazy? But it's like, no, it's not crazy. The foreshadowing is so obvious. Like, once you know, you can't unsee it. The amount of times that like people mention one dreamwalker being Paige and then following it up with like, or so we think, we don't know, but we're pretty sure there's only one. Here's an idea, here's a crazy concept. Like, they're not related, but are they? I'm thinking too much now. Anyway, Paige is getting ready to leave, kind of. I know she still has to figure out where Sheol 2 is, but I can't remember who she asks or possesses or whatever. But anyway, they're leaving, they're hugging, and as our auras flashed together, I had the sudden sense of falling like I had missed a step. It was a sensation that both comforted and disconcerted me. And then there was another comment when they were with Cornephoros or whatever, because he was talking about their auras both being red. And I'm so scared for the next book. And I think I'm more scared that we're not going to get any information on Cade in the next book. I'm literally about to start crying thinking about the end of The Mask Falling. Anyway, listen, I understand the draw of reading like contemporary romance and like lit fic and all that stuff. Like, yeah, it's fun. Woo! Like, people kiss. Like, that's great. I cannot express to you the extent of the feelings I feel when I read a fantasy series because, like, the stakes are so high. She is currently behind the wall listening to Minar and Rackham, the Rag and Bone Man, talking about selling voyants. And I know how this plays out. Like, I know she gets out and she's safe and, like, everything plays out the way it needs to. But, like, the tension in this scene, in every scene in this series, off the charts. It's insane. Like, quite literally, you can't get that anywhere else. And I'm willingly making myself suffer. Maybe I'm Paige. You know, now that I think about it, maybe I am just like Paige. I'm gonna light myself on fire! I can't keep doing this. It's 9:30 p.m. I have to go to work tomorrow and I don't want to. I can't believe it's Sunday again. I have been reading though. I'm like 52% of the way through. They just met with the Purdues. I think that's what it's called, to convince them to join Paige and Arcturus to get into Versailles. And I've met a weird junction here, guys, because, you know, it's nighttime. It's 9:30. I'm a grandmother, so I really should be getting to bed. And if I keep going too much, I will literally be in Versailles, and I have no business reading that right now, tonight. But it's just so good. And the thing about the Versailles scene is like, it's a lot. Like, it's painful. It's really full of tension. Like, Paige almost dies more than once, I think. It's truly one of the best Bone Season scenes though, because like Jackson and the can and Thuban, I think, is there. And there's the moment with Arcturus and the swords, which I haven't stopped thinking about for 4 years. It's fine. I'm not gonna read it tonight. I'm just thinking about it. I'm not gonna read it. But I have now read half of this book, and the second half goes by really quickly. Here's the problem that we're gonna run into though. I am going away on a trip next weekend. I'm going to a wedding, so I will have no time to read next weekend. And if I pick up The Dark Mirror, like I shouldn't be reading it at work. And if I want to have like a good like reading vlog, like I should be reading it like all in a weekend without moving. And so I don't know what we're gonna do, and I don't know when I'm gonna finish The Mask Falling, but it's like starting to get really real. And I know I've been saying this for the whole video, but I just cannot deal with it. It's fine. I'm just gonna push through because that's what you gotta do. I did not sleep well last night. I could not fall asleep. And so I decided I deserved a little treat today. It's Monday. In every sense of the word, it's fucking Monday. I don't want to be at work. I don't want to do work. I want to sit and read my book. I'm not expecting to get a lot of reading done today of the Bone Season. I might listen to my audiobook, but it's gonna be busy at work probably, and I just want to go home. It's Tuesday now. I did read yesterday, so I would like to be asleep, but I'm awake because I'm going to work. I decided to read the Mask Falling on my lunch break because I need to get this shit done. I think if I hustle through the Bone Season, I can spend most of April working through War and Peace. Yeah, he made the oath yesterday. That's what happened. That's why I was having a freak out. So we're in the weird mid-period where Paige just finished, she just got back from being captured, giving herself up. So she's dealing with the consequences of her actions. She got the pneumonia stuff in her lungs, and they took all the liquid out, so that was kind of fun. She talked to Ducaux and did not tell her the full truth. She talked to Warden, and they kind of had it out a little bit because of the EMIM thing. Now we're getting the part of The Mask Falling where pieces are falling into place and details are being revealed that I thought I knew, and actually I didn't remember them correctly because Ducaux gave her the next assignment, and the next assignment is to kill Jackson. And I didn't know, I forgot that was like part of the problem for Versailles. So anyway, Paige is having a freak out trying to decide if she can actually kill Jackson. The truth is she cannot, but she's gonna think that she can. She and Warden have one of their heart-to-hearts. That's, I think, part of why The Mask Falling is so good, is because it's like, okay, we have like crazy tension, action sequence, and then after the action sequence, Paige and Warden come back home and have a little debrief and decide that they love each other a little bit more. When he gives her the oath, I was reading it yesterday at work. Here's the footage. And I just like wanted to scream, and I still want to scream because obviously this comes into play later on. We know about Evenfall, blah, blah, blah. But I think what's so insane is because the first time you read The Mask Falling, you are just like Paige and you're like, oh my God, he gave me this oath. And then you say, look at that oath, throw that oath out. He is evil. He is the blood consort. He hates me, like blah, blah, blah. And like, how could you think that he did that on purpose? First of all, his character, like he is just a good guy. He would not do that. But number two, he made that goddamn oath and it is such a good oath. And he has spent the whole book being like, nah, I stick to my oaths. I stick to my promises. I don't know why that accent came out, but he made the oath. I'm fine. I'm totally normal about this. So I'm like literally pages away from I'm pages away from going to Versailles. And so the thing is, once you hit Versailles, I feel like the end is just like a roller coaster down, because you go to Versailles and then you meet that guy, the Duke guy, whoever got kidnapped. And then other things happen. I don't remember. And then Overture chapter happens. And then Evenfall chapter happens. And then it's the end of the book. Like, I'm not prepared, if I'm being honest. And we talked about this. I don't know when I'll have the time to actually read anything for the rest of the week. I am going to the gym tonight. I haven't been to the gym in a week. I made promises and I haven't kept them, but I really am going to go to the gym tonight. So I'll probably read Versailles tonight or at lunch or both. But I am starting to get afraid because we passed halfway. It's afternoon. It's evening. It's evening now. It's like almost 6 o'clock. And I just got home from work and I survived. Yeah. I did finish a nonfiction book today, which I don't know if I talked to you guys about it. I started reading Gender Magic by Ray somebody, McDaniel maybe? I don't remember. But it's a book about gender. And I finally finished the audiobook and it was really, really good. I did read at lunch. I did read a little bit of The Mask Falling at lunch, but I didn't make that much progress, mostly because I'm slow, and I kept dragging my feet, and we are like, they're in the mines on the way to Versailles, and we're like so close to the can. I can almost hear it, but we're not quite there yet. They're coming up with their plan. Ivy just turned back. I'm getting war flashbacks to Mockingjay. I do think it's interesting how many similarities you can draw between the Hunger Games and the Bone season, probably because I feel like a lot of dystopian books from the 2010s kind of have overlap. Like, I don't think the Bone season could exist without the Hunger Games, if you know what I mean. However, one of the things that I was thinking about in relation to Domino is the idea that, like, I think Domino and District 13 could be similar energy. Like, they're both into the revolution. They're trying to get the oppressive government out. Like, good intentions, probably. But maybe I just implicitly don't trust Domino because of the Page Warden Evenfall of it all. You know, all of that at the end there. The White Aster. It's because they took Page's memory. So many thoughts, so little time. I really should just be reading to get the answers, but we're not there yet. I cannot focus on anything for too long. I'm not ready for the can scene. I'm gonna be honest. It's so intense. But the scene with Warden and the swords, it's so close. So the plan for this evening, I will be reading. I'm planning on cooking dinner. God forbid I have to cook dinner. And then I'm gonna go to the fucking gym like a big girl. Guys, I'm cooking dinner and I decided to listen to the audiobook because I have the audiobook, and they just stepped foot in Versailles. And I'm afraid. One of the reasons why the Versailles scene is like one of the sexiest moments in the Bone season is because Arcturus Masartham literally just starts wielding swords like a warrior, and I cannot do this. I literally cannot do this. Also, something to be said about a big, strong, protective male figure going, "Get behind me." I'm sorry, I'm just a girl, actually. Forget about gender for a moment. I am simply a girl. My friends, the time has come. It is time. It is time for the can. And I'm this close to turning it on just to feel something. I feel insane. Oh, I forgot. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Okay. Oh my god. You just scalped Mount Pretty. What the fuck? I wasn't sure you had any more marbles to lose. Paige, please be serious. I can't do this. I am so getting traumatized right now. She's still egging on Thuban. And he's like, why are you looking at me like I'm gross? You humans are awful too. Did you know about keel hauling? And you know, 4 years ago, I had no concept of that. And now, as a post-Black salesperson, I feel personally victimized by that. Have you seen season 4 of Black Sails? Guys, why am I crying? I'm fine. I'm having a breakdown again, because we have reached one of my all-time favorite scenes of the whole series. The scene where he has two swords. He has two swords. And I know in the line that I just read that the can is playing, and I think that's great. You know, like, I love the imagery of a guy with two swords and the can playing in the background. But when I picture this scene, and the way I've pictured this scene for 4 years, every time I think about it, is No One Fucks With My Baby by Hozier. Because I'm just picturing Warden with his swords being crazy, and Paige is behind him, and Thuban is in front of him. And that song is playing. We made it to the can, everybody. Orpheus in the underworld, take me away. I'm sorry, this is so fucking funny. She ran at them. I can't do this. Oh my god. This is... Paige, please. God, I love this book. I love it so much. He just threw the keys at her. If you line up the track to that section, it's euphoria. I feel crazy. I really gotta go to the gym. Oh my god. Good evening. Hello. I'm not done. I haven't finished it yet, but I think I'm gonna finish it tonight. I've been having so many emotions today. Last night I went to the gym. I did go to the gym. Everybody fucking cheer. It happened. I did go to the gym. And when I was at the gym, I went on the treadmill and I read part of Versailles. I think I pretty much read most of the Jackson sequence in Versailles. I felt so insane. It was crazy. Like, it was a good thing I was on a treadmill though, because I could just like pump it up, and I just was like, I was literally just like sprinting at one point reading about Paige and Warden. And so anyway, feeling many feelings. And at lunch today I read some more, and so I was reading the scene where she like essentially she goes through the tunnels and almost dies, and Jackson saves her. And then she forgets, and she wakes up in, I don't know how to speak French, so I'm not even gonna try, but the old orphans, like, place, underground, quarry, that's the word that they keep using in French. And so she ends up talking to him and, like, kind of making a deal with him, and et cetera, and Nadine and Zeke are okay, and then Warden comes back. And I shit you not. I was like, I thought about reading On the Clock, and I got to the overture. I got to overture chapter. I got to chapter 20. I think it's 21. I got to chapter 21, and I like had a whole breakdown moment where I was like, I could read this right now. It would be so easy. I could finish the whole book during my time at work. And I was like, first of all, that's doing a disservice to me, to my viewers, to all the people of the internet, because I could record myself going insane at home. So objectively, that is one of the reasons why I did not finish the book at work today. Also, I thought I should maybe try and doing my job. At the end of the day, I was like, I feel too crazy right now. I have no capacity to like sit and read Overture right now because Overture is insane. Instead of doing that, I ruminated and thought about a bajillion other things within the Bone Season world to try and distract myself. I was like working on my playlist, and then I was thinking about a lot of theories that I have. And so before I go on any further, even though I know I will and I need to this evening, like I'm going to finish The Mask Falling tonight. It's confirmed. I will stay up late. I don't care. I need to talk to you guys about the things that I've been ruminating on because I'm a little bit concerned. I don't have any answers, but I feel like I'm like Charlie Day with the Pepe Sylvia board. Like I feel like I'm connecting the dots. Like I understand what's happening, kind of. We'll start with Jackson because I feel like he's like kind of the easier one. I've been paying so close attention to Jackson during this reread because I know he's important and because the last time we see him in The Mask Falling is so bizarre. He says, "Let me show you my true intentions at last. The plans I've been formulating." Hi, editing Jenna here. It's way later. It's June now. It's fine. We're just gonna move past it. I'm editing and I'm trying to decide if I want to like put commentary from my Dark Mirror thoughts into this vlog. I'm not gonna do it, but I want you to know, reader who has not read The Dark Mirror, I know what this means. I know what this means. I do know what this means. Which leads us to believe that obviously he's conniving all the time, but all of this is leading to something. And like, even though he is deranged and I think he has some evil tendencies and he definitely did not do right by Paige, I do wonder if we're gonna have a Severus Snape situation here where like either he's some kind of a double agent or he knows things that are relevant, that are bigger than the conflict that's happening right now, especially when the last big thing I want to talk about, he talks about the conflict is about to change, the dream of the end, the war of the veils. If he knows things that could be relevant that we don't know what we don't know. It is relevant, and I do know what you don't know. The War of the Veils is compelling to me because we are shifting into a point in the series where like it should, in theory, become bigger than the oppressive government, especially because the main point of this whole series is that the ether has, like, died, essentially. Like, the netherworld is dying. And so, in theory, you either want to figure out a way to cut yourself off from the ether and the netherworld, or heal it, or, like, it's going to be some kind of a battle between humans and refs, or a secret third thing that we don't know about. So anyway, I'm curious to know if he's going to get a redemption arc. I don't know that he deserves it, but I think the fact that he is still alive and he did save Paige from that fate, like, leads me to believe he could turn out to be some kind of a weird good guy. The other one I want to talk about is so crazy because I didn't even consider it the first two times that I read this book. I don't think I actually caught it when I was reading through the series any time before this. Like, I'm sure my eyes saw it, but it never occurred to me that it's important or relevant to the future of the series until this moment. And I'm sure that will make me look like an idiot because I feel like this is like kind of obvious, but I am thinking many thoughts, having many feelings. I was losing my shit at work when I was discovering all of this because it feels important, you know, like it's one of those theories that will be answered at some point. I just don't know when or how or why. And the theory I'm talking about is the poltergeist. The layers to this. During the Sen Shield shit, she is in the tower, I think it's the Tower of London, Westminster, somewhere, the Arch Inn. She's in a tower, and when she blows up Sen Shield, there's the poltergeist who is a fallen angel of Nashira's. In order to dispel the poltergeist, she like holds up her hand with the other scars from that other poltergeist that hurt her originally, and she like is able to push it away from her, and dispel it, and essentially she got rid of the poltergeist. And as a result of that, the fallen angel carves kin into her hand. That's the first instance that this happens. She interacts with a lot of poltergeists throughout the series at different points, and most of the time she either has the pendant that Warden gave her that repels poltergeists, or she doesn't have it on and it causes her problems. And so this is the first time that she doesn't have the pendant. She's on her own. She doesn't have help from anybody at all. And all she does is put her hand up, and it forces the fallen angel away. And she interacts again with more poltergeists when they are going through Versailles, and they do kind of bother her. But there's one moment where they're going through the smelly place where the sniffer, it gets really affected. And at one point she freezes, and there's a poltergeist that lunges at her, but it stops as if she had slapped it, and then cringes away. And she goes to stand next to Warden, and it's kind of brushed over, but I think that's an important detail. I sound like an insane person, but I promise this is relevant. And so anyway, this takes us to Versailles, and she ends up interacting with another poltergeist. I think it's the Ripper. I can't remember exactly. But Jackson sicks it on them, and she is doing a Hail Mary. Her last chance that she's kind of like, fuck it, I have nothing to lose. I'm going to try the same thing that I did before. And so she puts out her kin hand again and tries to get it to leave and go away. And it does. Instead, the poltergeist was suddenly reeled away as if caught on a line. And so she has this first of all, she has this weird power now. We don't know when it started. We don't know how it happened. If it started with the sun shield thing or if it was from something else. But now that she has kin, she has some kind of control over these poltergeists. And we don't know how, we don't know why. But I was thinking about it, and so I was doing some research thinking about kin, and I was like, okay, like related to, family, connected to, etc. Like, is she related to a poltergeist? Is she a poltergeist herself? Like, how does any of this relate to anything? Which takes us to my next point. So when you're reading The Mask Falling, there is a scene right before she talks to the orphan, and she's walking through his quarry, and she ends up in this room where there are a bunch of books, and there's a book open with a prophecy that she reads. And I have completely skipped this prophecy every time I read because I don't know what it means, and I don't know that it's relevant, but it is relevant, obviously, because you don't just put a prophecy in there for no reason. And so the prophecy is only a tercet, and it says, "The scion will awaken thrice in blood, once for life, once for a crown, and once to bring the tower down." There's so much to unpack here. First of all, I looked up the definition of scion because obviously, like, scion is the big, like, government thing, but I don't know if you are aware of this. Scion, the noun, is a descendant of a notable family. So, like, technically, kin, if you think about it, kin, scion, is the same. I do think Paige is the scion they're talking about. And so it awakened thrice in blood, once for life, which, like, what is it? I wonder if it's the first interaction she had with the poltergeist in the poppy field. Possibly. Once for a crown, she did interact with the poltergeist when she became the Black Moth and when she won the scrimmage. And once to bring the tower down, definitely was with a poltergeist at that point. I don't know what that means. I don't know if I actually, like, figured out what any of that is. But I am so compelled by that prophecy and that idea, especially because, like, I don't know why that's relevant. I don't know what that even means, how she's related to poltergeists. I do wonder if, like, because there aren't a lot of dreamwalkers, if, like, it's related to her dreamwalkerness, and also, like, if her mom is related to this somehow, especially with the poltergeist. I don't know. Thinking too many thoughts. I have one more thing to add to them. Well, 1.5. I have 1.5 more things to add to the mix. So another thing I want to talk about is from book 1, and it is back when she is talking to Seb, the poltergeist, and she's trying to convince him to leave so that they can open the door and get out of Oxford. And there's one section that we still haven't answered as far as I'm aware, because they're talking, and he out of nowhere is just kind of like, "There's an old secret that pertains to you." And she's like, "What's the secret?" And he says, "Some are for the dead alone. You dance among us, but you live. I see the cords that join you to both flesh and sarks. I see as I never saw with my eyes." And so originally, and even now, I still think the cords that join you to Flesh and Sarks is the golden cord and the silver cord, I think. But I wonder if there's another thing involved in that we don't know about yet, because it's very possible. But I haven't really thought that far in advance. I am more interested in the rest of it as it relates to this poltergeist kin thing. In theory, like, the thing I'm thinking about is you dance among us, and I'm assuming us means the dead. So you dance among the dead, but you live. And that, I think, really does kind of feel like this kin with the poltergeist situation, where it's like, did she already die? She didn't. But did she already die? Is she a poltergeist or like a remnant of some sort? Like, no. But like, could she be? I don't know. That would be pretty crazy, wouldn't it? You know? So I don't know. I don't know that that secret is related to it, but I do feel like there's a high probability that they could be related in some way. Whether they're related to each other or they're related to a secret third thing, I'm not really sure. Which brings us to the secret third thing that I would like to talk about. I made a post about all of these crazy thoughts that I was having on Tumblr, and my friend who is in the middle of reading the Bone season for the first time messaged me and was like, does this have anything to do with X? And I had not considered it because I forgot about it, because this thing was removed from the revised editions. It was in the original Mime Order book, and it got taken out. And that is either really good or really bad. And what I'm talking about is a section in the original Mime Order where somebody, I think it was Jackson or Warden, was asking her about how she repelled poltergeists. And they said that people were calling her, now I'm going to butcher this, thaumaturge. I'm going to stick with thaumaturge, whatever the phrase is. The voyants were whispering that that's what she was. And obviously she had the pendant, so that's kind of what happened. But it was whispered by a handful of voyants who worshipped what they called the zeitgeist, the spirit that had supposedly created the ether. The faithful didn't use thaumaturge lightly. It referred to someone touched by the zeitgeist itself, someone with an unprecedented mastery of the ether's secrets. A lot to unpack there, everybody. So much to unpack. And so here's what's interesting about that. If you remove something from your book, you revised it, you have a new edition without that. She changed a whole chapter title that was originally titled Thaumaturge, and now it's something else. I don't remember what it was. But if you get rid of something like that, if you redact it, it either means, number one, it is hogwash. It is completely irrelevant, and you want us to forget about it because it does not mean anything at all. And I respect that, and I feel like that probably is what happened. But there is another option that you would revise something, delete it from that because you want to reintroduce it later with a different meaning or a different introduction. And so it's either a concept that will come back later or it won't. Here's the thing that's so interesting. She didn't completely get rid of reference to that word. It is still in the revised editions twice. It isn't explained, it isn't talked about, it isn't focused on, but it is used in passing twice. The first time it's used in both editions, Jackson mentions it and calls Paige a thaumaturge in book 1. It's like right after she kills the Vigilés on the train, which, by the way, I just learned that's how you pronounce those. I thought it was just Vigils. It's Vigilés, the more you know. But after she kills the Vigilés on the train, she is talking to him about it, and he is impressed by her, and that's what he calls her. The second time that it's used is in the song Rising. There is a section where Didion Waite has a poem, and the poem essentially explains what has happened thus far, and it talks about Paige and how she becomes the Black Moth, and in that section it talks about them calling her that. And so it's not like she completely got rid of the word, it's just that she like buried it and made it completely irrelevant. And I don't know if that's supposed to be like a red herring of like, okay, like forget about it, don't worry about it, I'll bring it back later when it's really important and I'll change the meaning of it a little bit. I don't know, I'm not sure. It could offer a hint of where things are going, because whether or not that is the terminology and that is the detail that we're going to focus on, like it does hint at the idea that like some kind of kin to the ether in a way that we haven't considered before. I think I'm onto something. I think me and my friend who pointed it out are onto something here, actually. Like I'm very compelled by this as a theory. I don't know what it is, what I'm theorizing, or what it could lead to, but I do think it's interesting to consider that context of like, okay, if Paige is kin with the ether, or she's already dead, or she's a poltergeist, or something like that, she is related to the poltergeist in some way. that would imply she's related to the netherworld in some way, in a human way, potentially, that could offer an answer as to why the flower bloomed, why we could potentially heal the netherworld, why her union with Warden is so important. And if we're looking ahead to, we know that the second half of the series really hints at the Pandora Prometheus retelling. And we haven't really seen evidence of that just yet, but it is coming, or so we've been told. And so to think about that in relation to whatever this theory is, I think is really interesting. Because Prometheus introduces fire, and Pandora has her box, and I think she introduces hope. Am I remembering the myth correctly? I don't recall. I'm thinking no thoughts and all the thoughts at the same time. Like, it's so hard and fun being in this part of the series because you have no answers, and so you kind of sound like a crazy person being like, this is what could happen, and it isn't, because it'll be slightly different than what you think it is. But there's a non-zero chance that I could be getting warmer to something in the future of the series. I think I'm feeling good where we're at. Like, I feel like we are finally hitting a point where I might be ready to open up the dark mirror in the next couple of days. And honestly, that's the reason I've been having such a hard time reading recently, because I'm so scared. I'm actually scared of the end of this book. Every time I've read the end of this book, all 2 times, it's just been very traumatizing. When I was reading the second time, I was on audio and I was like, yeah, it's gonna be super fun. And I got to the Evenfall chapter and I like dead ass just like put it down for like a week, because I was like, you know, I don't actually need to read the end again. Like, it's already hurt me once. I don't need to do that. But there's so much information at the end that you need that is important. Anyway, I'm supposed to cook dinner because I need to eat food, but I need to read the end, and I'm like so choked up right now. I can't do this. I'm literally like shaking. It's fine. I can't believe you guys are about to witness me having the biggest breakdown of my life on camera. And yet still the song was rising. Say that. Biting my arm off. I'm so gonna do something so serious. I wanted you. I still do. Oh my god. It was selfish to take you in my arms, knowing what that touch could bring. Yeah. Oh my god. Yeah. And then he was at my open door. Oh my god. I'm gonna cry. Is it not enough that we want each other? Who writes this shit? Samantha, be serious. We both know how to be alone. Is it not enough that we want each other? The inherent queerness that is within these two, I wanna... Also, I am thinking about, fuck what I deserve, what about what I want? Anyway, I'm normal. I'm fine. Guys, I am unwell. I'm deeply unwell, gentlemen. I can offer you nothing. Only a song in the shadows. Sing it to me. It's starting. I can't do this. I cannot stress to you how much I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. Oh, I am the bravest girl who ever lived. Why would you leave him? Why would you leave him? Why would you leave him? Why did you? Deep breaths, everybody. We can get through this together. Don't leave him. Don't leave him. I am literally walking back into hell. The PTSD that I have from this ending. Holy shit, this is harder to read than I thought. I've read this twice. I thought it would be easy this third time. Holy cow. They're climbing at Notre Dame. Who cares? Go find your man. He is sleeping. I know I have talked about this, But I need you to understand, I have been sitting on this moment, this ending, for 4 years. 4 years of my life. That is a whole college career. And I don't know what happens. And I don't know what happens. I'm reading Evenfall. I know it's not the end. I know we understand what happens. And so Arcturus is fine. He's just possessed. But it is so goddamn painful to read that I think I might cry. The only song that makes sense for this moment is Sanctuary from the Hunchback of Notre Dame soundtrack. It is insane. It is such a good score, period. But the energy fits this moment so well that it makes me want to do something drastic. I can't breathe, actually. Oh my god, I can't do this, actually. I can't do this. No, please don't do this to me. I can't do this. He's possessed. I'm sorry. Not doing well, folks. I'm not doing well. Okay, here's the problem. Samantha Shannon decided to have the warden betrayal happen 80% to the end. There's still 20% left towards the end of this book. We have like 3 or 4 chapters left. And every time I read this, I just black out. I just completely do not pay attention to this part because it's irrelevant. It doesn't matter to me. I don't give a fuck where is Warden. But I have to pay attention now, and it is killing me. I still have 10% left. And we still haven't figured out that Kate is a dreamwalker and he possessed Warden and I'm gonna kill somebody. Ends up in the basement with Cornophoros. Cornophoros says things. Words. He says words. She, like, forgets about Cade. Momentarily, forever, I don't remember. Did she get White Aster? I'm not sure. She asks who hunted me. He doesn't say his name, but Cornophoros says, I am sure he, Cade, will explain your situation in due course. For now, he, Cade, has business with the suzerain. I imagine he, Cade, caught you by surprise. I think it's Cade. It could be somebody else. Even I had no idea what he was or his allegiance, but it certainly opens a world of possibilities. So then he, does a little fake out moment and touches her and it hurts a lot. And then he's like, just kidding. I'm freeing you. Congratulations. And I'm so compelled by, I do this not as a favor to you, but to honor an oath of my own. To whom? To Warden? Is it to Arcturus? Is it something else? What are you talking about? And then he says, no doubt I will see you again soon. Farewell. I cannot stress to you the feelings, the emotions, the questions. I've had questions for 4 years. And if they are not answered in the next week, I'm not gonna make it, you guys. I will say though, the scene when she and Kate are talking outside and she figures out what he is, there is a moment where she's putting all the pieces together and she talks about how both of their names are, like, connected by bears. And also, there is a moment where she touches the scar on her hand that says kin. So, it's related. I'm not crazy, and I'm smart. 4 years, Samantha. 4 years. 4 years. 4 years. That's all I'm saying. Oh my god, I can't do this again. He felt safest in the place he had first held me in his arms. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh no. I'm fine. I'm normal. I'm totally chill. I'm totally a normal person. I finished rereading. Oh no, I can't stop laughing. I personally just would like to say, I hope Samantha Shannon rots in hell. Diabolical, evil woman, vile, sick, twisted. I actually don't need to go through that trauma ever again. I don't ever want to relive that. But unfortunately, there are a lot of important plot points after Evenfall happens. And I tried so hard this time to pay attention. I really did. I was reading, I was highlighting, I was focused because I know it's important and there's a lot going on. She makes a deal with Minar, which I kind of forgot about. Cade escapes, lets out Corniforus, and also kidnaps Luce, ? Because of the baby, potentially. Also, like, the implication that Paige is kind of related to him somehow. I have so many questions. I have had questions for 4 years. 4 years. I don't know. I know I keep saying this. If you didn't live through the cliffhanger, if you didn't live through it, you cannot understand the emotions that I have been through for 4 years. And here's the thing. I'm done. I did what I came here to do, which was reread this fucking series. And I feel like I know things. I feel like I'm ready. I have paid attention. I have remembered a lot of shit that I forgot. And at the end of the day, I am still entirely unprepared for this moment. I didn't think I would ever get to this. And now I'm so fucking scared that I just, like, don't want to. I don't want to. Like, I think it should have been 5 years, actually, and I still would not have been prepared to relive that shit. And you know what's really funny? You know what's really fucking funny? I did read the acknowledgements. I'm not gonna lie. I read the acknowledgements when I picked this up at Barnes & Noble because that's my favorite hobby. I like reading acknowledgements. It's fun. And she had the audacity to mention the people who have been waiting for this book. And she was like, yeah, like, some of you have been waiting since, like, 2021. And it's like, what do you mean some of us? Most of us have been waiting since it was released in 2021. How dare you? Sorry about that. Don't know what was going on there. A little bit too much emotion. I did finish reading The Mask Falling for the 3rd time. And I'm totally normal about it, and everything's fine. Here's what I've concluded. I've reached the end of my reread. I know as much as I am able to before starting this bitch. And right now, where do we sit? This is the best. This is my favorite. I'm terrified because I'm like half sure that this is better than this, and this will become my new favorite book in the Bone Season series. But this is my favorite book in the Bone Season series. It's awful. It's torturous. It is full of tension. But I think the reason why it is so successful is it is such a great balance between crazy chaos, insane pain, and also healing. It's so healing. So much of this is about Paige overcoming trauma and growing as a person and still making stupid decisions, but also, like, really coming into herself as a leader and as a person. And also, obviously, there's the Paige and Arcturus stuff, but we're not going to talk about that because I will cry right now. And I just think this is such a brilliant step in a new direction for the Bone Season. Like, it's dystopian, but this one really takes it in a new way. Mostly because I think, obviously, the first 3 books of the Bone Season are very focused on London and England. And so it's very, like, British. And, like, there is some Irish and there's some Scottish and, like, a couple other things thrown in there. But I just love Samantha Shannon's attention to detail and the fact that she writes other languages so well, that she writes other settings and cities so well. Like, it's very obvious the care that went into all of this. And it makes me so fucking upset that that woman doesn't use notes. She doesn't use notebooks. She just keeps it all in her brain, and somehow it is all up there. I will never be like her, and I am mad about it, but it's fine. That said, I'm so curious to see where we're going because this has opened up the door to so much. Like, the ending. It's hard to talk about the ending because obvious. It's hard to talk about the ending because it's very emotional. But the other thing that's so crazy about the end of this book, it's just chaotic as fuck. Like, we don't know what's going on, and neither does Paige. And there's really no explanation. All we know is that Paris is getting bombed. Paige assumes that it's some kind of fallout for the conquering of Spain and Portugal. And so she's like, they must have some kind of allies that are willing to bomb. And we don't know what that means. It could be free world. It could be a different country. It could be literally domino. It could be anybody. We don't know. We don't know where the bomb's coming from. Paris is bombed. That's what happens. And at the end of all of it, the only information we have is that the place where Warden supposedly was got bombed and is no longer there, and she can't feel the golden cord. Which doesn't mean much, because Warden can survive pretty much anything, and he will be in the next book, and I don't care. It's funny because the first time I read this book, I was, like, obviously in a lot of pain and a lot of shock, and I was like, what's gonna happen? Like, I'm terrified. Nothing will be right again. And upon doing this reread, I feel like there's so many hints scattered throughout about White Aster, about Paige and Arcturus, that, like, I'm literally just unbothered. I know that's saying a lot because I was so bothered when I was reading, like, 20 minutes ago. Quite literally, I am not concerned. I'm concerned about how long it's going to take to reunite and get everything fixed. But, like, it's like when somebody dies in a fantasy series and you don't find their body, that it's like, obviously they're still alive, they're gonna come back and everything's gonna be perfect. I'm not worried. It's just like a little bump in the road, you know? I am more concerned about Cade. I'm very concerned about Cade. We don't know what is up with that guy, and I'm so scared to find out, actually. I'm convinced he seemingly works for Nishira, but there's just so much we don't know, especially because, like, how much is he a double agent? How much is he lying? Is he working for Nishira and he's been lying about everything else? Or is he not working for Nishira and he's lying to Nishira for some reason? You know, like, what was I talking about? I'm not worried about the White Aster thing. I was really concerned about it the first time I read it because I didn't think about all of the foreshadowing that I had seen throughout the rest of the first 3 books. Because there's a lot of references to it throughout the series and specifically in this book. Like, there's one section that I talked about where Liz was like, yeah, like, the memories are still in there. They're just, like, buried. Not worried. There's a section where Ducos specifically tells Paige she will not have White Aster, so this is not a domino job. I am convinced that Cordier, or whatever Eleanor, the girl who did the White Aster at the end, she is the problem here. She is probably the one who betrayed Domino, who betrayed Mannequin. Mannequin. I'm pretty sure she's the one who betrayed Mannequin, obviously. So, like, who does she work for? We don't know. Does she work for Cade? Is Cade a secret subsection entity? We don't know. The final piece of the puzzle is that Arcturus suggested that, in theory, he would be able to restore her memories. And so, we all know that's gonna happen. I don't care. Samantha Shannon is a hopeless romantic and she will give me my ending. I am not worried, but I am compelled because we got a very steep mountain to climb in the next book because we just lost 6 months. But even just, like, the very tail end of this book, it's apparent that, like, war is coming and we're in the best part of the fantasy series now. We are so close to the end game. Not really, but we're so close to the end game that, like, it's gonna get fucking crazy. I think it's so crazy that Nadine and Zeke got sent off to figure out the free world stuff, because here's the thing, we are setting the table, we are laying the pieces, the chessboard is active, people are going places, and they are going to come back in like 2 books. So Nadine and Zeke are gone, they will come back. Danica Panic, who is not, that's not how you say her name, I was listening to the audiobook earlier, that's not how you say her name. I know that, I know her last name is supposedly pronounced like Peniche or something like that. Danica, Danny, she left. But I think she's going to be important in a couple books. She's going to come back. I feel like there's got to be a moment towards the end of the series where the 7 Seals come back together, including Jackson, for like a crazy like endgame moment. It's going to happen. I'm making predictions. It's fine. We still don't know what happened with Nick and Maria in their 2 countries with Domino. Domino still wants to work with Paige. That's going to be important, but she doesn't remember anything. And so what is going to happen? I'm postponing this crazy fucking book that has haunted me since the early days of the pandemic. I'm actually terrified, like genuinely horrified. What if it's bad? What if it's really good? I will be doing a reading vlog for the Dark Mirror. I'm gonna do it. Thanks for watching. I hope you're okay. If you need a support system, please reach out. This is crazy. This is insane. This is the kind of thing we live for. This is the moment. This is the shit we live for. I've lost my marbles.